Do you think the Ram temple will become the big issue of the 24 elections? Let's see what respondents in this seawater poll had to say. Will this be the #1 issue? Now, conventional thinking, Amitabh Tiwari, before the Ram temple ceremony has been that, that the political steam in this issue has gone. That, of course, it will be an issue, but it won't be the biggest issue at this moment. And, of course, this response is impacted by the recency effect, because you've just asked this question soon after this massive Pran Pratishtha. Therefore, viewers will be skewed in this direction. But for what it's worth, 54% of the respondents say yes, the Ram Mandir issue will be the biggest issue of the 24 elections. 65% of NDA voters feel the same, and 47% of opposition voters also think that the Pran Pratishtha ceremony will be the biggest issue of the Lok Sabha elections. Let me go across to Amitabh Tiwari on this. Amitabh, is this the result of the recency effect that you've just done this ceremony, you're asking this question the day after? Or do you think that this could well be the case, given how the BJP has whipped up a religious sentiment in the large part of the country, that this could possibly be the #1 issue of the next elections?
Yeah, some of it, of course, has to do with recency bias, of course. But it could emerge as the biggest issue. And we have to understand that BJP as a political party actually has never encashed this issue in any election. 1991 UP election is the only election where BJP was able to encash this issue. And since it has been able to fulfill a long pending demand or its promise, and since the build-up to the event, the momentum that the party is likely to maintain for the next 2 months, when it is likely to conduct a campaign carrying or helping people who want to go and visit the Ram Mandir temple, and this could really become an important issue. Again, by starting or visiting temples in the south of India, and by saying that the Ram Setu, I have come from the Ram Setu to the Saryu River, Modi has also tried to neutralize this north-south divide, which the opposition was trying to create and trying to establish that in the south, this issue may not be such a significant issue. But if 54% of the entire respondents say that, it means that this issue is resonating across the country. Of course, the level or the degree could be different. And people generally say that BJP has maxed out in the north of India. I was just looking at the data. BJP won 155 out of 191 seats. So there is still some upside left. BJP won some 60-odd seats, 50-odd seats out of the 80 in the west. So there is still some upside left. So if this becomes an issue, then these seats could come into the play.
Yashwant Deshmukh, do you really believe at this time, from what you know, that this could be the #1 issue? Or do you think that this is really not the right time to ask this question, because you've done it a day after the Pran Pratishtha, and of course at that time it feels like the biggest issue?
Yeah, I mean, it's more of a recency effect, I would say. I mean, the kind of experience which tells me, but it will remain one of the big issues for sure. I mean, more important, and Sanjay was absolutely right when he said these kind of, I don't really think that the Congress voter will swing to the BJP. That's not going to happen. But what will happen, probably these kind of issues energize the cadre. These kind of issues energizes the rank and file, particularly of the BJP, to get mobilized for the electioneering and mobilized for the polling day, turnout. That could be a factor, and that could make a difference in the relative turnout. That's an important thing to observe here. But having said that, I genuinely do believe that this has also a recency issue. It's still 8 to 12 weeks of political campaign. If the elections are held the way they were happening in five years back, around April and May, then some more issues will crop up. There are genuine issues which the opposition has to play, ranging from inflation to unemployment. It depends on how much opposition actually take this fight into the BJP's camp. As far as BJP is concerned, they are probably going to campaign like, we have delivered on the governance and we are delivering on the Ram Mandir as well. So they would like to take that high ground, and they have already taken the lead. Just like Amitabh just mentioned, that before coming to the north, he did go to the south. And by the way, in the retrospect, I also, on the lighter note, I also feel maybe I would have known, if I had known that the Murti is going to be a Shamavarna Murti, whether that is being taken as a Blackstone is also taken as a better signal in the South of what generally big number of people in the South are set to look at the Ram Temple thing as a north thing, if I may say so. So that would, these kind of optics, which are at play, probably it needs time to map whether
Sanjay,
BJP will gain
here's
anything
what's
in the
quite
South.
clear to me, that even if it isn't the biggest issue at this moment, it looks like overwhelmingly the biggest issue, because 54% of the respondents are saying it's the biggest issue. But even if it isn't 54, even if this comes down because of the recency effect, this will still be one of the big issues. Now, how big, bigger, biggest, that we can debate, but it still will be one of the important issues of 24 elections.
Rahul, without doubt, I think one has to always understand this point that religion, these are sentimental, emotional issues. And I do believe that no matter the seriousness of the unemployment, which I think nobody can deny, the food inflation, the decline in rural wages, what I call as the real value of the real wages for the agriculture labor in India, there are serious problems at the local level across the country. I mean, poverty by the UNDP is estimated at 230 million. That's a humongous number. We are talking about extreme poverty. Why is the government giving 57% of the people of India free food grains? That tells you that not everything is good at all. You can razzle and dazzle on some infrastructure projects, but the truth is that trickle-down growth has not happened over 10 years. So the election is up for grabs, in my opinion. But I cannot deny, having been part of the political mainstream, that end of day in any campaign, it's the emotional issues that really come into play. And that is the reason why I think the opposition has to create a narrative. And unfortunately, none of them are great in political communication. Certainly the Congress isn't. You need to know how to create a story about the young.
And the narrative that's coming from the India Alliance is one of whether Nitish is unhappy, whether he's going to walk back. Bhagwant Mann saying, AAP will fight alone in Punjab. It's not a narrative which suggests any cogent attempt to take on the Prime Minister. It sounds like a very ragtag coalition. Modi is marching with purpose. The BJP's got its election machine rolled out. And the India Alliance at this moment, Sanjay Jha, is looking completely in disarray.
Absolutely. And I think that to me was the biggest disappointment yesterday of Mamta talking about going on her own. Today, the news of Nitish in Bihar. I don't think the opposition is realizing that seat distribution is critical. Yes, it is. But you need to start by now. The opposition has to be talking in a language of a challenger who believes they can be a winner. I mean, you play sports, Rahul, so do I. Ultimately, the challenger has to have a very different, rugged mentality. And I think they have lost a lot of time. I do think that the reason why the entire, Pran Pratishtha happened earlier is because I think Mr. Modi can camouflage a lot of his failures by actually driving in the element that, listen, we fulfilled a promise, it satisfies 80% of India's population, and it builds into that sentiment that you need. And I do feel that I don't agree with Amitabh when he says that the BJP hasn't leveraged the Ram Temple. It has. I mean, the entire resurrection of the BJP from 2 Lok Sabha seats in 1984 to winning the assembly whenever they did, and the Lok Sabha where they actually bounced into a huge number happened because of the Ram Temple movement. So I do believe that the BJP is now going to ruthlessly play this game.